So today, we're going to talk about a massive identity crisis. I mean, a real institutional meltdown. We're going to break down how NATO, an alliance literally built for one single fight, had to scramble to find a new reason to exist when its entire enemy just vanished from the map.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. You spend almost 50 years training for one single monumental fight. Your whole identity, your structure, your budget, everything is laser-focused on this one adversary. And then bam, almost overnight, they're just gone. That's not a movie plot. That was the exact crisis staring NATO right in the face when the Cold War ended.
Now, to really get the scale of this change, we've got to rewind a bit. Let's go back to NATO's original mission. You see, it was born in a very different world, that rigid, two-sided Cold War world, and it was created for one singular purpose. So, at its heart, NATO was all about one simple idea: collective defense against the Soviet Union. The whole concept was powerful, right? An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. It was basically a giant shield, purely defensive, and designed to stare down one and only one specific threat.
And that right there, that's the key. For more than 40 years, the mission was just crystal clear. One enemy met one purpose. Simple. No gray areas, no what-ifs. Everything NATO did, every decision they made, was seen through that one single lens.
And then, everything changed. It felt like the world literally turned on its axis. The entire political map, the one that had defined global politics for decades, was completely redrawn in this incredibly short, dramatic flash.
I mean, the speed of it all was just staggering. Think about it. 1989, the Berlin Wall, the symbol of the Iron Curtain, just crumbles. A year later, Germany is one country again. And then, by the end of '91, the Soviet Union itself, NATO's whole reason for existing, was officially gone. The dominoes just fell, one after another, at a speed nobody could have predicted.
So that brings us right back to that huge existential question. With the Soviet Union gone, what was the point of NATO anymore? Seriously, a lot of smart people, analysts, politicians, were saying, hey, let's just pack it up. The job was done, mission accomplished, right? There's this quote from President George H.W. Bush that just perfectly nails the feeling of that time. He said, "A new world order can emerge." And that wasn't just some political speech. It was a real recognition that the old rulebook had been thrown out the window. The world was stepping into this period of, well, deep uncertainty for sure, but also incredible opportunity.
Okay, so NATO is at a crossroads. Fade into the history books or find a new reason to exist. They chose to adapt. They basically had to write a brand new job description for themselves in this new world order.
And look, this couldn't just be a small change, a simple rebranding. No way. The alliance's very survival depended on a total transformation of what it did. It had to shift from being this passive, defensive fortress into something much more active, like a global security manager.
And you can see the pivot right here. On one side, you have the old mission, anti-Soviet defense, super singular. On the other, the new mission, peacekeeping and stability. It's so much broader, right? The whole focus shifted from that one single threat to dealing with all sorts of global challenges. It went from a confrontational stance to one of cooperative security and managing crises as they pop up. So what does peacekeeping and stability even mean? Well, it meant NATO was now taking on a proactive role. That's the big change. Instead of just sitting back, waiting to defend its members, it was now going to actively get involved in managing conflicts and securing fragile areas to stop things from spiraling out of control.
So what does that actually look like on the ground? Well, suddenly NATO's job description included things like monitoring ceasefires in war zones, providing security for humanitarian aid, getting to people who need it, and even training local security forces so they can create their own stability. It became this very hands-on operational thing, something the old defensive NATO just never did.
And this is really why this all matters. This isn't just a story about some military alliance. It's a fantastic case study in how to survive. It shows that when the world is changing really, really fast, even the biggest, most established organizations have a choice. Fundamentally change your purpose, or you're going to end up as a relic in a history book.
And that leaves us with a really important question for today. I mean, NATO's big pivot, that was over 30 years ago. But its story is maybe more relevant now than ever before. In our own world, with all its rapid technological and political shifts, it really makes you think, doesn't it? how did today's alliances, and really all of our big institutions, how do they keep evolving so they don't just become obsolete,